I'm going about this is I'm saying, if you are claiming that the Bible contains eyewitness testimony, how can you claim that the Bible contains eyewitness testimony if you can't prove that it was written by eyewitnesses? Then I'll ask, where does this testimony come from? To which she responded, she said, okay, we have Paul attesting to 500 eyewitnesses, not to the crucifixion, but rather the resurrection. But that's not 500 testimonies. If I come to you, and let's try and be a little bit consistent, right? If I come to you in the 7th century and I say that I saw the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, split the moon and 500 people were with me, is that one source or is that 501 sources?
Now, you know what's ironic? She says we don't have any first-hand accounts to verify the crucifixion. And yet she will follow a book, the Quran, which she thinks came through Muhammad, that was composed in the 7th century. So she will reject earlier sources about the historicity of the crucifixion for a source that she thinks comes from the 7th century, 600s, through a man named Muhammad who was not there in the 1st century, never met any of the eyewitnesses to Christ, never interviewed them, and that assumption is based on sources that come over 100 years after Muhammad. Now, let me explain what I mean. If I were to ask Korra, how do you know the Quran, as you have it today, existed in the 7th century? How do you know that Muhammad, the name appears only 4 times in the Quran, refers to the Muhammad you believe in, whom you believe was born in 570 AD and ministered for 23 years? How do you know what the Quran even is when the Quran doesn't tell you what the Quran is, how many chapters make up the Quran, where the Quran was composed and when? Now, if she tells you, well, Muhammad doesn't need to be an eyewitness or meet the eyewitnesses, Allah inspired him. So hold on. You're saying your God can only inspire a man whom you believe came in the 7th century, right? Whom you believe is the one who recited the Quran as you have it, in a language completely unknown, not spoken by Jesus or his followers. He can do that for him 600 years later, but he can't do it for people writing only 30 to 60 years later. Secondly, the second problem with this, the assumption is that only an eyewitness can write an accurate report of events. If that assumption is true, then she just destroyed her hadiths and seerah. Why? The oldest extant seerah, biography on Muhammad, is written 100 years after Muhammad. That's if we go with the traditional narrative. Now look at how many holes. I have to believe Ibn Hisham wrote Sirat Rasulullah around 750 AD. But where do I get that from? I don't get it from any contemporary sources, inscriptions, writings in the 8th century. I'm dependent on sources that come over 200 years later telling me there was a man named Ibn Ishaq who wrote a biography in the 8th century. So, but I'll be generous and I'll say, all right, I will accept what your sources that come over 200 years later tell me about what Ibn Ishaq did, right, about 100 years after the death of your prophet. But even if I go with that, Ibn Ishaq wrote 750 AD. If you're telling me you need an eyewitness account, a first-hand account, Ibn Ishaq was not an eyewitness to your prophet, and he's not a first-hand account. Does that mean you now destroy Islam? Now you're going to go back and become a skeptic? Or are you going to assume, like any real historian does, that you can have a person interviewing eyewitnesses or interviewing the followers of eyewitnesses or consulting sources written by eyewitnesses earlier than him to give you an accurate historical narrative? if we follow what she says, then that means any work written long after the person and his followers have died cannot be trusted. This level of skepticism destroys not just Islam, but any and every historical writing that wasn't written by a contemporary. And now you become complete skeptics of the entire ancient history. So now you're going to have to question whether Jesus existed, let alone, right, the crucifixion. Do you understand how bad it is? This approach to Christianity will end up causing her to then question not just crucifixion, whether Jesus existed. Therefore, she now ends up following a path that means Islam is false, because by the same historical method, you can't even prove Muhammad existed. And then even if you can demonstrate Muhammad existed, you have no proof that Jesus existed, which means Islam is false because it says Jesus did.
So the Quran isn't actually the only instance in which somebody disputes the crucifixion taking place. We have historians also acknowledging, the same exact historians that you will appeal to say that the crucifixion happened, also say that there were early groups disputing the crucifixion, right? For example, we have groups such as the Basilidians who deny the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
The only groups that question the crucifixion, I need you to listen to this. Here's where it's going to get funny and how embarrassing. The only groups that started questioning that Christ was killed were a group of Docetists, what we call Gnostics. Now here's where it's going to get funny. This group of Greek converts, influenced by Greek philosophy and beliefs, corrupted their Christian beliefs with Greek philosophy that taught this. I need you to listen, because you see this group arising in the time of the apostles. I need you to listen. I'm going to go into meat. They believed on the basis of Greek thinking that the material universe was evil, was corrupt, and that salvation, deliverance came when you were delivered from your body. Your soul leaves your body. You no longer have this body of flesh, this material body, to hinder you. And now you are liberated and you continue to live as a disembodied spirit. This is all due to the influence of Greek philosophy, Greek thought, that the material universe is an illusion, a shadow. It's not the reality. It's an illusion, a shadow. The realm of ideals, the archetypes, that is reality. And you want to liberate yourself from your body, and you want to live as a disembodied spirit. So what was the assumption? Matter is evil. So they then introduced those teachings, Christianity. They taught, since Christ is divine God, he would never pollute himself, defile himself by taking on a flesh body. Isn't it ironic? The group that reject the crucifixion of Christ is the one group that denied he was man, but believed he was a divine being. So if you're looking for the ancient precursor to the denial of the crucifixion, it's among Greeks that corrupted the teachings of Christ with Greek philosophy that taught that matter was evil and believed that Christ was a divine being, right? But not a human being, which is why to them Christ could not be killed because he didn't have a body to be killed in. And that group were called Docetists because dokeo, dokein, means to appear. It appeared as if he had a body. but like angels can appear as humans and appear with human bodies, but don't really have physical bodies because they're not men, so too with Christ. That's why their Christ cannot be killed. In other words, if the Muslims try to find ancient precursors to the denial of the crucifixion, they have to find it among Gnostics who taught Christ is a divine being. He is a God, which means Islam is still false. You see how they're stuck? You go with the true Christians, the Orthodox believers, the very eyewitnesses, the apostles, and go with their testimony. Christ is God who became flesh and was killed in his flesh. But then he raised that flesh. Islam is false. You go with the Docetists, you go with the Gnostics, Islam is still false because to them Christ is not human but a divine being. That's the only two options Muslims have. They do not have a third group that taught Christ was just a man and didn't die. And you find this movement already on the rise during the time of Paul and John. How do I know? Who do you think John was talking to when he said, "Beloved, test the spirits. If anyone says Christ has not come into the flesh, this man is Antichrist." Note, he says, if anyone denies, 1 John 4, 1-6, but we can read all the way to 7, that Christ has come into the flesh. Who do you think he's talking about? The Docetists, these Gnostics, who said the divine Christ never became flesh. He's already attacking them. Right here, 1 John 4. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. You see it? John is saying a false prophet inspired by an evil spirit, the spirit of Antichrist, denies that Christ has come in the flesh. Who do you think he's attacking? The Docetists. Even Paul condemns them in Colossians. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, of which you have heard that is coming and now is already in the world. You are from God, little children, have overcome them, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak as from the world. Yeah, we are from God. The one who knows, God hears us. The one who's not from God does not hear us. From this we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. John was already condemning them. According to the Quran, those who dispute what happened to Jesus, they're following conjecture, right? Let's see who's following conjecture. A survey of the Muslim sources will show you, till this day, if you read their sources, the Muslims could not agree what exactly happened when the Quran says, here, when it says, it so appeared to them. It so appeared to them. You go read the Muslim sources, they don't know what exactly that means. And how do I know here? To tell us. Here you go. Look at all the different views. This is now a survey of the Muslim sources throughout the centuries, right? Here, what does it mean that it appeared to the Jews that they killed Jesus? Well, here, let's go through it. You ready? One view is, a Jew named Judas, not to be confused with Judas Iscariot, entered a house where Christ was, with the purpose of arresting him, but did not find him. God caused the likeness of Christ to be on him, and when he came out of the house, people thought he was Jesus and took him and crucified him. Did you know that? One view is a Jew named Judas was transformed to look like Jesus from head to toe, and the real Jesus escaped through a hole in the roof with two angels taking him up and went to heaven. So when that Judas came out, he didn't know he had been transformed to look like Jesus. They took him away and killed him, thinking that was Jesus. Second view, when the Jews, when they arrested Jesus, set over him a watchman, right? But Jesus taken up by God, to God by a miracle, and God caused Jesus' likeness to rest on the watchman. So now it's a watchman, whom they took and crucified while he cried out, "I'm not Jesus. I'm not him, I'm telling you." You know what this makes their God into? A deceiver. Who made this person look like Jesus from head to toe? Their God, Allah. Who made this lookalike suffer in the place of Jesus and be killed for Jesus? Allah. Who then used that lookalike to convince the world Jesus was killed? Allah. Now notice the irony of the Muslims. They say it is blasphemous to say Jesus died in your place, but it is the mercy of Allah, the wisdom of Allah, to have a man look like Jesus to die in Jesus' place to save him. See how stupid this religion is? Do you understand how stupid this religion is? But wait, that's not the only interpretation. One of Jesus' friends was promised paradise. In fact, there's an interpretation found in the commentary of Ibn Kathir. If you go and read his commentary in 355 and 4157, he attributed it to Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas is Muhammad's first cousin. All right? This tradition is attributed to him. Doesn't mean it came from him. Nonetheless, according to him, on the night Jesus was going to be betrayed, some say 12 disciples, some say 13, some say 17, were there, and he said to them, look how stupid this is. This is what I'm reading here. One of Jesus' friends was promised paradise and volunteered to die instead of him. God caused him to resemble Jesus, and he was taken and crucified, but Jesus was taken up to heaven. So according, right here, Jesus came with 17 disciples. Watch. This is from Al-Tabari. Al-Tabari gives you the conflicting list. 17 disciples. The Jews surrounded him. God made the disciples in the likeness of Jesus. He made all of them look like Jesus. The Jews said to the disciples, "You have bewitched us. You'd better tell us which one of you is Jesus, or we will kill you all." Then Jesus said to the disciples, "Who is willing to give his life today for paradise?" One of the disciples volunteered, went out, saying to the Jews, "I am Jesus." They took him and killed him. Let me read this 1, 2, 3. The children of Israel surrounded Jesus and 19 of his disciples in a house. Jesus said to the disciples, "Who's willing to take my image, die, and go to paradise?" Look how stupid this is. By the way, this is the tradition Ibn Kathir quotes as coming from Ibn Abbas, and I'll explain it. One disciple offered himself and was taken outside and crucified while Jesus ascended up to heaven. Again, 4. Finally, David, the king of Israel. They can't even get their chronology right. David was the king of Israel when this happened. So David sent someone to kill Jesus. Just like Moses is Jesus' uncle, because Jesus' mother, Miriam, is the sister of Aaron, the daughter of Imran. And the only Miriam who has a brother named Aaron, a father named Imran, is the sister of Moses. Okay? That man took men with him. Jesus was with the 13 of his disciples. When he knew they'd arrived, he made one of the disciples to look exactly like him. When the Jews saw that disciple, they took him outside and crucified him. Here, some Muslims have stated, when the Jews surrounded Jesus and his friends, all took on the likeness of Jesus. The Jews were confused and so killed one of the others on the authority of Salman. Okay, let me repeat this fairy tale. According to a version of this report, listen carefully. Okay. Ibn Abbas, cited by Ibn Kathir, On the night of his betrayal, Jesus said to his disciples, which one of you volunteers to look like me, take my place, and be killed in my place? Whoever does so, I guarantee him paradise. It says the youngest of them said, I will do it. Jesus asked the second time. The youngest of them said again, I'll do it. He asked the third time. After the third time, when the youngest said, I will do it, he goes, okay. That moment, the youngest of them was transformed to look like Jesus head to toe. Two angels took Jesus through a hole in the roof. Physically, he went to heaven. The youngest of them looked like Jesus. They took him, killed him. Now, for the life of me, if Allah is going to allow anyone to be killed, why not Jesus? Why did Allah say, tell one of your followers to take your place, to die in your place to save you, because I'm going to make him look like you, and I'm going to deceive the world into thinking it's you. Then I'm going to create Christianity, because then they're going to start preaching, you died on the cross, and you were raised to heaven, foisting Christianity on the world, the thing I hate, but I will create this deception, because I'm the best of all deceivers. Why go through that trouble? Why not just have Jesus die? This is what Korra is calling you to, by the way. This is what the Muslims are calling you to. Exactly, my brother, you got it. Can't even agree with themselves. Isn't it ironic how God makes fun of unbelievers, laughs in their face? The Quran says those who are in doubt are following conjecture. Who is following conjecture here? Us or them? One of Jesus' followers betrayed him, that is Judas, and came to the Jews to guide them to him, and went with them to take him. God caused him to appear like Jesus, and he was taken and crucified. So, the most popular version today, among lay Muslims who are not educated, you know what's the most popular version? You know what's the most popular version today? Is that Judas Iscariot was the one who was killed on the cross as punishment. Allah made Judas look like Jesus and had him killed. All these conflicting, contradictory views from the Muslims across the centuries. And we're following conjecture? We're following conjecture? Here it is. I give you Ibn Kathir. Right here. You see that? There it is. Now, you know what's even more ironic? You know what's even funnier? You have other Muslim sects, like the Ismailis, you know, the Doctor, is it Khalil Andani? He's an Ismaili. It's a branch of Shia Islam. They say the Quran does not deny Jesus was killed. What they say, let me tell you what they say. I want you to hear. That when they killed Jesus' body, they didn't really kill him because his spirit cannot die. Now you have another group. But if that wasn't ironic, there are Muslims in the past and Muslims today. In fact, there's a very prominent Muslim online who says, and I forget his name, you guys probably know who it is. Very prominent Muslim, he's all about end-time prophecy and Dajjal. He actually says the Quran confirms Jesus was killed and was resurrected. He says if you interpret the Quran correctly, if you interpret the Quran properly, it affirms he was killed and resurrected. He's a very prominent Muslim. He's online. He talks about end times and Antichrist and conspiracy theories. He's caused shockwaves because the Sunni Muslims are angry with him, but nonetheless, he claims to be a Sunni Muslim.
That's it, guys. Now, Christians, be thankful for what you have. I'm telling you guys, be thankful that you have the Bible. Now, if you are doubting your faith as a Christian, just go and read the Quran, or just listen to what Muslims are telling you about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Just ask them, what happened to Jesus? How did he go to heaven? they have no definite answer. I'm telling you guys. So Christian, we are lucky, very, very lucky to have the Bible that explains to us what happened to Jesus Christ, what Jesus did on earth. So guys, with this, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, like, and share. Let me know what you think about the video. So guys, I'll see you in the next video.